I'm going to show you the sequence of movements that you would use for the Clog Dance from Fille Mal Guardée. And this one I sort of adapted it to make it sound like we're doing a walk through the woods. And we're coming across a few creatures, a few things are happening on our walk. And the first one is, it's like twirling leaves in the wind. So they've dropped off the trees and you do this. So you might want to do this in autumn, or not necessarily, it's up to you. But I show them that the instrument that does that is the clarinet. So sometimes I use these cards, I'll show you. I've got a collection of cards of all the different instruments. Even better, you can show them the real instrument. But for this one, I sort of hide the bass clarinet, and I also hide this before I show them. See if they can recognise it, because some children might recognise the clarinet, and some can read, so they might be able to work out about what it's saying there. So I introduce the clarinet there. We've got a bit also where we've got some grasshoppers, and that's played by the oboe. Yeah, and I show them, and you can show them the double reed on the instrument too. And then also you can show them what instrument do you think this is, and hopefully they recognise it's a violin, and so on. And then you've got like the trombone is the other one that I show for this piece, because it's a bit that has got the trombone in it. And we talk about, where do you put your mouth? Would you put your mouth there, or would you put it there or here? And yeah, they tend to guess that that's where you put your mouth. And we practice the kind of articulation that you would use to play the trombone. So we like blow raspberries with our lips, we go, and we do that kind of thing, so they know how that instrument works. And then I show them the slide and how that sort of pulls out to make different notes. So it's just a bit of introduction before we do the piece. And this is how it goes. And then they have to try and guess what kind of creature is coming along. So the first one is the leaves, right? And catch. So you catch the leaves as they fall down, right? And catch. So it's a bit windy and they're falling off. And now this one. And I usually pause it there and I ask them, what do you think that was? What kind of animal do you think might make that sound? Lots of them think it's a horse, but I thought better to do like a woodpecker, because then it goes peck, peck at the end. And again, we think about what instrument that is, and you can introduce them to the woodblock. If you've got a woodblock, you can show it to them, or if not, like an image of a woodblock. I'll keep going. Anyway, go back to the beginning. Right, and catch. Right, and catch. Right, and catch. Now, the woodpecker. Peck, peck. So every time I hear the woodpecker, I have to do rid of the bottoms. And as the violins. Right, and catch. Right, and catch. And the woodpecker again. Peck, peck. Now it's a grasshopper. So tiny movements from the oboe. This is the oboe. And the French chant, if you wanted to talk to them about the one as well. Peck, peck. Back to your circles again. Violins again. Right, and catch. Right, and catch. Right, and catch. Back to woodpecker again. Peck, peck. And now you've got your bouncing bunnies. Again, trying to use that articulation in the wrist. Now we're going to go to the trombone in the bottom field. There's a bunny jumping around in the lower field. Now we're going to go to the top with the violins again. Some more bunnies. And then legato. And the woodpecker again. Peck, peck. Back to your circus again. Clarinet again. And they're having a chat with the violas. You could even have a Greek doing the circus and then the response on that one. Peck, peck. Circus again. And catch. And catch. Now as the snake comes along. Back to your circus again. And catch. And then you hat. And they've got to keep really still without moving, and not making a sound, keep really still. And then after you say, okay, you can come out, and we're going to say, what is it? What do you think you were hiding from? And they can think of different creatures that might be a bit scary, that they might find in a wood. Lots of them say bears, wolves, any of those, fine. I tend to use, in the end, the gruffalo. I give them a bit of a clue and say what has got purple prickles on their back and a wart on their nose, and say, oh, the gruffalo. So I usually tend to use the gruffalo for that one. So I say at the end, you've got to duck down. Just on the very last note, you duck down and you have to hide, and you must not move, because if you move, the gruffalo would see you. And then I sort of make a point of how when you finish your performance, when you're playing your violin or any other instrument they're playing, you usually finish with a big and then you stop and you freeze for a few seconds, you don't move, and then you relax, and then you get your clap, your big clap, and then you do your bow. So it's trying to sort of make them aware of that big silence at the end of music where they have to freeze and stay very still.